Well, believe it or not, the regular season starts to draw to a close. I'm Mark James. Welcome to another edition of the Beech Grove Scouting Report, joined this week by Beech Grove head football coach Mark Weller. And, Coach, let's first of all talk about a tough loss last week to Triton Central, a conference opponent. Fourth and goal, had an opportunity to stick it in, couldn't quite get it done. They turn around, make a couple of plays, get it in the end zone. But I think all in all, once you broke down the film, coming off that rather lopsided loss to Ritter, it was gut check time against Triton Central, and although the scoreboard didn't show it, I think you feel like your team passed that test.
You know, we really did. I talked all year when you play your Speedways, Heritage Christians, Ritters, Triton Central, who's, beats the Cena, played all those teams very well. We needed to put 4 quarters together of hard-nosed, mistake-free football, and we did that. We did that. Real proud of our kids and the effort and their fight. Made a few key mental mistakes, which cost us, which that'll happen against a great team. But overall, very proud of our kids, and I think that game will show to be a turning point in our season.
Well, certainly, your ball club defensively, even though they couldn't make the stop late, when you hold Triton Central, a team that can score a lot of points in a hurry, hold them pretty much in check for 4 quarters, you at least put yourself in a position to win the football game late, and you got to give a lot of credit to your defense.
Defense did a fantastic job, with the exception of a few big plays, which will happen against a good team. Our defense was on the field, did a fantastic job. They seem to be just getting better each game. Coach Cross does a fantastic job. Our seniors do a good job, and we were flying around smacking people, and that makes for a fun game.
Well, you talked about the 4th and goal situation. It seems to me as though, and even watching the game against Ritter, and people might say that, well, this is a little strange because it was a lopsided ball game. But I think at times you've had some consistency offensively. The inconsistency has come in the ability to finish off drives.
Right. And that's part of sometimes part of a younger, inexperienced team. We have a new quarterback, with Robbie Stevens, but he's done a fantastic job. He had a great game, really ran the ball very well, hit some key passes, and it's a little bit of a transition period with a new quarterback. But this is game 3 for him, and he really put it all together. The offensive line was fantastic. We were able to sustain drives. It's just one of those things. Got the ball 4th and 1. It was right there. Coach up in the box thought we had it, but it's just one of those things. We didn't get it done, and we'll move on.
Talk about the relationship between you and Robbie Stevens. I don't think you could underscore how important it is for that quarterback and that offensive coordinator, the play caller, the head coach, whatever the case may be. You have to be on the same page, and I would imagine that Robbie has gone from a young man who kind of had a little bit of a deer in the headlights look when you would talk about what you wanted and how you wanted it, to each and every week now he becomes a little more confident, and that look on his face tells you, yes, Coach Weller, I know what you're talking about.
Absolutely, and you really know that during a timeout, and you go to the huddle and you look him in the eyes. I think the first 2 games he had that panicked look a little bit, and when we talked to him on the sidelines, talked to him during timeouts, it was an extremely confident look. Real proud of him.
Wins this season against Lutheran, Park Tudor, and Crawfordsville. Coming into this Friday night, senior night, you play 1-7 Lapel. Again, though, we need to it's a common theme we've had week in and week out, regardless of who we play. Program, I don't think, is to the point, you would agree with this, to where you can't take anybody for granted, especially a football team that's coming off a 36-29 win over Knightstown. Knightstown's been a solid program for years. 4 or 5 years ago, they were in a state championship, I believe. And I think certainly you want to win all your games. You want to win homecoming. You want to win conference games. But certainly you want to win senior night at home.
That's a real important game for our program. And as far as I'm concerned, our seniors have done a fantastic job, and we want to finish strong going into the playoffs. But, Lapel, we've had most of their game tapes through the year. Earlier in the year, new coach, new systems. They're making, new team mistakes, but they have certainly made great improvement as the year has moved on. And, they beat a 6-1 team last week. They play very hard. They're a scrappy bunch. I mean, we will have our hands full. We have to come to play.
Well, let's talk about what some of the keys are specifically to that game based upon what we learned from the Triton Central game moving forward into Knightstown. If there's one area in which you need to improve, other than, of course, finish off drives when you're 4th and goal,
sure,
what are some of the main keys that you would put up on a whiteboard and say, guys, this is what we have to do tonight?
Our big thing defensively is not give up the big play. We'd have 2 series, 3 and outs, get them 3rd and long, 2nd and long, and give up a big play.
Right.
To me, that is our most important goal going into the game. And then, as you said, with our offense, we have to play ball control, finish drives, play for field position, and keep possession of the football and score points.
Well, and I think from a momentum standpoint, a win Friday night, senior night, gets people pumped up. You get an opportunity to scout your week 1 sectional opponent, Indianapolis Howe. Your entire staff can go see them play on Saturday when they play Marshall. This is a football team that I believe only has 7 games because of the reconfiguration of the schools in IPS. But certainly a tremendous amount of athletic ability and a football team that can be very, very dangerous. But boy, it'd be nice to put together, a couple of wins here back to back, prepare for Howe by beating LaPel, and then be ready for a good hard week of practice off a win, getting ready to host them week 1.
And we've talked a lot all year long. We've talked on this show. We really treat our regular season games as kind of almost a preseason for, the state tournament. Momentum going in to the state tournament is huge. We have to play. I'm real happy with the way we played Friday night against a very good team. I think we built some momentum there, even though we didn't come out on top score-wise. We need a good showing and a win Friday night. Then again, we're gonna have to play well against Howe. They're very athletic. But that momentum will really carry us into the state tournament. And when you get there, as you well know as a coach, anything can happen.
Yeah, and I maintain Coach Jim Kaiser, longtime coach at Avon and Monrovia, Hall of Famer, told our kids a couple of years ago in 2009 when we had our run, he said, I don't care what anybody says, the sectional round is the toughest round to win of any portion of the tournament.
Oh, I completely agree. I mean, it's the teams aim for that all year long. They're hyped. Teams spend a lot of time scouting and preparing for it. So, and the teams are at their best at that point. So I completely agree with that statement.
Well, we'll take a quick look at the brackets and talk a little bit about each of these teams. Batesville and Edgewood at the top of the bracket. Batesville solid year in and year out. Edgewood maybe doesn't rack up a lot of wins year in and year out, but still a very sound, very competitive football team.
That's a real interesting game. Batesville traditionally is very tough. I know they're a little bit down this year, has some injuries. I think they're getting some players back. Edgewood is, I think they have a relatively newer coach to the system, but a very successful coach. That'll be a good game. I think, that's a toss-up.
What about Greensburg and Brown County?
Obviously, Greensburg really looks like the team to beat in our sectional this year. I know their quarterback was dinged last week against East Central. He's going to play sparingly, but I look for Greensburg to probably come out on top on that one. You
get the winner of Rushville and Indian Creek, our good friend Mike Gillen. I've known him for years. You have too. I say he's been coaching since the old leather helmet days. He continues to churn out quality football teams at Indian Creek. One thing's for sure, if you play the Creek, they're going to throw it all over the field.
They are. Mike has been a good friend for a long, long time. He's mentored me as a young coach. There's not a better coach in the state. So you're going to have your hands full playing them. You got to be ready for the pass, but they're going to be hard-nosed and they're going to come after you. And hopefully we can get to them. I look for them to get past Rushville, and we need to have our hats on ready to go.
Now, before we get that far, again, we have to take care of business Friday night with LaPel. We mentioned it's senior night. You've got your roster there. We want to give you an opportunity to read off the names of your seniors before we close the show this week.
Sure, and I just can't say enough about our senior group. They really set the tone from January on as far as leading by example, not just on the field but off the field. Taking care of the grades, just being good people in general, but they have been a fun group, a fantastic group. to really get this program started. And our seniors will just go down the roster: Trayvon Sevion, Jake Van Dyke, Jacob Howard, Darren Markle, Vikas Patel, Charles Williams, Tyler Wyatt, Dion Connolly, Aaron Carter, Keanu Patel, Richard Robeson, Andrew McCracken, Phil Lamping, and Zach Lockwood. Just a fantastic group.
You know, I mentioned to you and I mentioned to Coach Purica and Coach Cross that one of these days, when we're looking at 8-2, 9-1 on a regular basis, which we think is right around the corner, when these guys come back, you'll be able to point to them, to these underclassmen, and say, guys, these are the ones that bought in. These are the ones that laid the foundation. These are the guys that turned it around.
And that's exactly what we've talked about from our meeting in January. You know, you guys are leaving a legacy here. This is something you can come back to, be proud of, but you were starting this thing the right way, and they've been fantastic all year.
Well, folks, bundle up in your black and orange and get to Beech Grove High School Friday night, 7 o'clock, the kickoff time, to close out the regular season. Let's honor these outstanding seniors. Get there a little bit early for all the festivities, and again, honor these seniors. They put together a tremendous season coming off 0-11 a year ago. All right, thanks to Coach Mark Weller for being our guest. We'll see you next week when we start talking about, in my opinion, the greatest tournament in the state of Indiana, the high school football tournament. For now, I'm Mark James. This has been the Beech Grove Scouting Report. So long.